Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome back to FPL Jedi Show. This is Gameweek 5 Deadline stream. My name is Hafiz and I would like to welcome Azmin to the stream. How are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. Raring to go. Looking forward to it. And a lot of Europe matches and league matches. So we need to see what happens there.
Yep, plenty of action. We did not stream during the midweek, but as we all know, last week was a horrendous week or horror week for some of the managers, including ourselves, because my rank, as you can see, dropped to 3.6 million and has been also suffered to 1.7 million. I think everyone is in the same boat. Let's take a quick look, before we jump into the team news. As you can see, my team's got 41 points and yourself 37 points. The average point from last week was 51 points. So slightly higher than what we are achieving. And that's why our rank dropped. And the difference from our team, I think myself, Captain Haaland, but you decided to Captain Mo Salah, as you mentioned last week. But you have someone written in your side in the form of Smith Rowe, while my other players all blank, scoring whether 1 or 2 points.
It was an insane week. I think those who went for Haaland, well done. Those who went for Salah, bad luck. It's hard to take much out of it because it was poor FPL week overall, except for those who the few who had someone like Mateta, for example. Bruno Fernandes who got an assist, if I remember correctly, and but we got to roll on with the punches and keep going. We obviously there's quite a few headaches that managers have this week. So let's get to it. Move on to game week 5.
All right, just quickly on my team. My team suffered most. I think the Muniz benching cost my team. As you can see, Muniz 1 point. I brought in Salah and João Pedro in for Saka and take out Isaac. And as you can see, Liverpool did concede a goal and Salah did blank. So while my Arsenal assets like Gabriel and Saka performed, which I took out last week. So that's what happened. I think that's what FPL do when you least expected. That's typical FPL. And for yourself, you had Gabriel and you bench him, right? I think in terms of the prospect of points, we expect Poro to do something at home. And we talk about Arsenal missing the likes of Rice and also Odegaard, but they still kept a clean sheet and get their 1-0 win against Spurs, right?
Yeah, so I didn't want to talk about this, but since you dragged me into it, so those who've been watching our stream remember that one of my challenges I was having is in terms of can't get my bench right, and this game week 4 was really a hammerhead with Gabriel, and I guess he got that wrong, thinking that Spurs was going to do one to Arsenal, but Arsenal held out, and it's given me another look for Arsenal. For me, my transfers, I sold Nkunku, who suddenly scored, to Minte. Yeah, so, but of course, my style is right now is that I can do without the uncertainty. I'd rather have those who are more certain to start. The other one that I did towards the end of last week's deadline was to sell Muniz because I was just not happy with him and wondering, because three games in a row and he hadn't scored, should I continue? Do I want to try to move it to someone else? And Nketiah had come up, after transfer. I always felt that Nketiah is the fox in the box, 90-minute type player. And I made that move to bring in Nketiah. Didn't have any results yet, but he scored the same as Eze. The whole point was for Nketiah. so I'm not too, I'm willing to wait the distance. But at the same time, I'm glad I don't have that Muniz headache now.
Right, you drag on. Mention about Eze, who did not took that penalty, and Mateta took that, so suffers for the Eze owners like myself. And just want to point out about Jota sub out like 8 seconds or how many seconds before he got that extra
Ugh.
one clean sheet. So that's the difference. I only got that 1 point, and the other one is Guardiola bench, and then later
Yeah.
for Rico Lewis, who also one of the most transferred in last week. So Rico Lewis owner now will have some headache also because there's a lot of potential risk in terms of Pep Guardiola lineup, who actually only managed that, got only 1 point. Yeah.
Yeah, and even Robinson, who could have was on his track for a clean sheet, ended up losing it right at the end. So it was really one of those
Yeah.
weeks.
All right, mate. Let's jump to game week 5 fixture. Forget about the
Yeah.
game week 4. We want to improve our rank, sure, and look at game week 5, how we're going to manage our team. The first early kickoff will be West Ham United versus my club Chelsea, early kickoff lunchtime. London Derby. It will be interesting for West Ham and Chelsea team. And then at 10 p.m. Malaysian time, we have plenty of matches, starting with Aston Villa versus Wolves. Aston Villa did wins against 3-2 against Everton last week, and Champions League also they continue to win. So pretty much they are on fire, and people are really looking at the likes of Watkins. And then we have Fulham versus Newcastle. We have Leicester versus Everton. Pretty tight. Everton now, if I'm right, at the bottom of the league, they are desperate for points because again they lose 2-goal lead and then lost 3-2 in the end. I think it's Aston Villa. Yeah. And then Liverpool versus Bournemouth. We expect Liverpool to win, right, man? Hopefully this is a big one because last week was a fluke one against Nottingham Forest. And then Southampton versus Ipswich. The two promoted sides are facing each other this week. Pretty nice whether Ipswich or Southampton can just show what they can make of. And then Spurs versus Brentford. On the Saturday midnight, Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. We see whether Manchester United can continue their form. They played against Southampton last week and managed to win it, and see whether Palace can take, whether they can take the challenge and face the likes of Manchester United at home, Selhurst Park. And on Sunday, Brighton versus Forest. Both are pretty decent, especially Forest coming back from that 1-year away against Liverpool. And then the big one, Super Sunday, Manchester City versus Arsenal. Plenty of pack for this week. All right, man. Let's jump to the team news. We start off with West Ham versus Chelsea. So we like to know what Dr. He and also Maresca has been saying about their team.
Okay, so if you remember, previously Paqueta was the one who didn't start, in game week 4, and I think it was Susek who started in front of him, but instead of him, but it wasn't too much success. So we could see some changes. West Ham are starting. We looked at this at the start and it felt that West Ham were looking decent, but things haven't happened for West Ham. They still haven't looked like clicking at the moment. So it is a big problem for them. So in terms of injury, Philly Crook is also a doubt, but at the end of the day, we may see some changes to the lineup. For Palmieri, Emerson Palmieri, it doesn't seem to feel that it was that serious. So that maybe there won't be any changes, but we have to see how this can be done. Last week it was there were halftime changes that prompted. So people like Paqueta came in, and then Somerville came in. And the problem with West Ham, Antonio's getting old, man. He's just as a forward leading the line, he's not doing much for. It doesn't feel like he's doing much. Having said that, even in game week 3 against Manchester City, they threatened, and they could have scored quite a bit there, but did not. For Chelsea, nothing changed really. Lavia and Gusto not ready to come back into the starting lineup yet. Big difference is Enzo Fernandez. It should be back. KDH is back as well, but then we won't see. Unlikely to see him move straight into the lineup yet. So it's really about how they figure out who to start again. This is the problem. Nkunku came off the bench last week to score.
Mhm.
And one thing during the press conferences, the manager did mention as to who's their number 9, who's my right winger, who's my left winger, who's the 10 winger, who's the 10, number 10. And funny, Jackson is together with Nkunku as the number 10. That's the number 9, sorry. Yeah, so does that mean that Nkunku is going to be a backup for Jackson and substituted out for Jackson? I don't know. Yeah, but Jackson just renewed his contract. So you would expect that Jackson will continue to start and Nkunku will still be, if he replaces Jackson, it will be as a substitute rather than leading the line directly. So despite scoring, I would still expect Nkunku to be on the bench.
Yep, I think nothing much that we can say there. We expect the same lineup West Ham for Chelsea. I think there's one changes might happen for Chelsea. Maybe instead of Disasi, Tosin is coming in the predicted lineup. Tosin play in central and Fofana on the right. But other than that, we expect the likes of Palmer, Bereke, maybe Sancho come in for the likes of Neto. But we do expect this kind of lineup for both teams. All right. Nothing to worry about West Ham and Chelsea lineup. What's next? Aston Villa versus Wolves. There's a lot of traction for Watkins. Do Unai Emery mention about anything about Watkins starting, man?
Yeah, so he's seemed confident that he's gonna start. He was not so over positive in terms of him ready. So I don't know. I do worry sometimes being over positive, but Emery doesn't have that track record, unfortunately. And even though he did start midweek, and that was why that prompted the possible injury. We saw him got with that ice pack on the leg kind of thing, but should be fine. He's in form. No reason not to start. So go for it. He will start. Of course, Bailey was back on the bench midweek, but he's not going to. But I don't see him starting with Villa doing well. So I think he should be continue with their lineup as is. For Wolves, Alt-Nouri now is a doubt. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure, but Wolves are in a real dilemma at the moment, I guess. Yeah, right. And they in a big they're starting to dig that ditch even deeper. It's going to be a problem for Wolves because their fixtures are looking really bad. So I would advise you not to pick any Wolves players. It's going to be tough. So Aston Villa are clicking, and with Watkins also back firing, it's a win for Villa for this one.
Yep, I expect a big win or even a comfortable win for Villa at home. So if you have the like of Watkins and Rodgers, you should be excited to see the outcome of this game. They might return for sure. Before we jump to next team news, I would like to welcome Ali Mac and Mr. Hagelo to our stream, and thank you for joining. Let's go to the next team news. Fulham versus Newcastle. We talked about Muniz just now. I'm not sure whether Marco Silva did mention about anything about Muniz, but we do expect Muniz not starting this week because they play until the penalty shootout during the midweek League Cup. So what's the latest news, especially for Newcastle on Isaac?
Okay, so Fulham, no real changes, and of course the big change for FPL wise is that Jimenez appears to have taken back his starting spot over Muniz. Which is a lot of Muniz holders need to make that decision. I would sell. I already sold, but for this week, those who still have him, it's really unlikely he will start. He started in midweek against Preston. Muniz started midweek, played 90 minutes and still didn't score. So I would say it does not bode well. And even though Fulham got knocked off, the fact that Fulham got knocked out of the EFL as well means that Muniz will be reduced to sub benches until he proves himself again and scores off the bench multiple times before he gets back to the starting lineup. Or Jimenez fails to score consistently enough, then there's a chance. Either way, it's a sell for me for Muniz. Howie, Isaac. Okay, so for me, Isaac has always Howie has always had issues telling the truth about the team news. So now remember, so now we have the issue with the origin. It was a nose, the reason he was subbed off at halftime. But now he's got a knock on his foot. Now it's a toe. So apparently he may be fit. He may train. Supposedly he has trained. And he says we'll find out more today and make a decision. That seems to indicate that he can start. It's just we don't know he's ready to start. He is training, so I don't know. Hopefully, it's not too bad. I don't know. I'm very hesitant I'm very reluctant to trust Howie on this. So I don't know, but it does depend on your team. You know, with the type who have Isaac and Pedro as well, then you have to figure it out. The challenge now. Let's say Isaac is fit. How he start his team, because last week he persisted in starting with Murphy and with Gordon. We stopped Gordon back on the left, but Murphy played on the right. It's only after halftime then it was a problem, and then Barnes came in, and then subsequently they managed to win. Yeah, they 2-1. So it's a problem. With those of you who have Gordon, you must hope that he continues to start back on his preferred left lineup, left side of the team. I think, but the rumor is the theory is that if Isaac is out, Gordon might play as centre forward and he takes over the penalties. So that's a plus point for Gordon owners. Yeah, but I'm not sure how this will go. A lot of Newcastle fans want Tonali to be restored for the starting lineup from the start. On the FPL wise, Shah scored again. Shah, after his suspension, now he's back and he scored a goal, which just to remind us FPL managers the attributes of Shah, of what he can do. So it's something to look at if you're looking to make a change in defense. Then Shah, a goal-scoring defender, might be the one you're looking for.
All right. Operator lineup, you mentioned about Isaac starting. I just read out from FPL Running Pharmacist because he's a Newcastle fan. Been receiving plenty of queries about whether Isaac start. He said honestly he does not have any idea whether he will start or not. Okay. But he did mention about no worry because Isaac not spotted during the training, right? As expected, how he did not tell you anything to comfort whether Isaac start. So he just mentioned about just get ready to prepare your benches if Isaac not featuring. That's all. All right. Let's have next. Leicester versus Everton, we know both team in a really desperate position to get points, and Leicester are playing home this week. So what's the latest news for Cooper and also Sean Dyche?
Right, so Leicester versus Everton, the home of the Pedro or Isaac replacements. For those of you who are looking for replacements, Leicester versus Everton sees the popular space to hang out. For Leicester, no real injuries, and the big difference is that Edouard, who was not able to play against Crystal Palace last week, so now he's back. And Vardy, of course, will still be there. So the question is, how will Leicester line up with Edouard? Because right now he's playing Ndindi, a defensive midfielder, as a 10, right behind Vardy, which goes to show Steve Cooper's trying to salvage anything by playing like so many defenders. But with Edouard back, he may well play Edouard and Vardy together. I'm not sure. Yeah, but chances are for this match to start off, because Edouard is still bedding in. Vardy will start and Edouard will probably come in as a sub, and let's see how it goes. But most likely for Vardy as well. Yeah. For Everton, quite a bit. During midweek, DCL was ill apparently, together with Mykolenko and Garner. But DCL, Mykolenko are fine now. Brentwaite and Nathan Patterson ready to progress, but not likely to make it. So Tarkowski will make it, of course. The only issue now is Michael Keane is having a precautionary stance, so we're not sure what the situation is with Michael Keane. But those who are DCL has surprisingly continued to stay fit. And of course, McNeil, who is looking like a very useful FPL asset right now. For those of you who have space or want to improve your team, McNeil looks like the better option. If it was between, of course, for me, the problem with DCL is of course his fitness issues. But if you feel that his fitness issues are so okay now, he should be fit. Then if you were to ask me between Vardy and DCL, I would choose DCL, just because Vardy is playing for the worst team and he's getting old, and it's just that there's more creativity on the Everton side. McNeil, and the career is better support than Vardy's IU and DD wing skip, so I would go DCL over Vardy. I just feel Vardy's minutes is not worth it, even though he'll only play once a week now. But I definitely choose DCL if I needed to.
All right, we will discuss in length later, about those replacement. But as you can see there, in terms of team news, we expect, especially on Leicester, no new fresh injury, and we can see some of the usual suspects should return back to the team. All right, let's go. Next team is Liverpool versus Bournemouth, mate. I don't know. There's a lot of talk whether we should worry about Jota minutes, Diaz minutes, and so on. So I don't know what's the latest news from both camps.
Yeah. So the thing with the one doubt that has come up is Alisson now. A doubt after shaving his beard, he suddenly has some tightness in his hamstrings. So he looks like he's going to miss out. He didn't train. He didn't train Thursday, Friday, so I think it's unlikely that he plays. So Gallagher will come in. So meaning that FPL selection, don't have to worry about that. Don't go that way. Although it does worry for those of you who may have Alisson, then you need to make a decision there lah. Whether or not you have a second keeper, then go for your second keeper. So the question is, okay, so Liverpool bounced back from their Forest loss with a strong win against Milan. So, and it didn't do too much in terms of changes. It pretty much put in Tsimikas and Gakpo coming in for Robertson and Diaz. Yeah, so that's the only changes he made. So the good thing is that Jota played, but will he be reduced to a sub this week? I'm not so sure, because at the moment, based on what Slots said, Jota is fighting with Darwin, and I don't think Darwin is in favor at the moment. Although the problem is Diaz minutes are worrying lah, considering he did play midweek as well. But it's a tough one. But Jota is still the leader for that first, so I do feel that Jota will continue to start for those of you who have him. And I think Darwin will get his chance in the EFL Cup, which will happen next week. Yeah. Okay. So there is a problem if Konate, we don't know Konate can do 3 starts in a row. Weekend, midweek, and again. So it's there's a slight possibility that Kwanzaa might come in. Okay, so Bournemouth, no real changes. Just Quattara facing a late fitness check, but everyone else is available. Kepa should come back. Last week he couldn't play against Chelsea, so he'll be back, and it'll be good for Bournemouth having Kepa around. But yeah, I still expect a Liverpool win here.
Yeah, other than Alisson doubt, I think the rest should start. That's my feeling. That Konate and Van Dijk scored during the midweek also opened up a bit of my mind in terms of maybe they can also be an option moving forward. If you cannot afford TA or you want to go cheaper in terms of Konate, but we shall see whether if let's say he can continue to start again, that will strengthen the belief that he will be the main first 11 for Liverpool. All right, next game, Southampton versus Ipswich. 2 promoted sides face each other, So what's the latest news for both teams?
Yeah, so this is the thing. So there's no real differences for Southampton side, as actually for Ipswich as well. So they both fine. So it's now a battle as to between the promoted sides to up each other. And Southampton were actually quite decent last week before against Manchester United. But after bloody hell, Cameron Archer, why he was taking the penalty when Diaz has a better track record. Brereton, yeah. So, but I don't know what's happened there, and it will hurt Southampton. And after that, Manchester United just ran them over. So we'll see what happen. Of course, I wouldn't go there for Southampton. In fact, I would look at Ipswich. I'm really optimistic with the likes of Davis for this match. Yeah, as a left back, and he's the creative hub for Ipswich. I can see. It's quite possible that not only will be a clean sheet, but he could also come off with some attacking returns as well. So Greaves, of course, is the cheapest one at 4.0. But if you have some money and want to, punt on an Ipswich defender, I'd go for Davis always.
Yep, I just want to mention, Southampton currently with 0 points in terms of league table. Ipswich already have 2 points getting those up in table, and Ipswich did kept a clean sheet last week, against Brighton. So maybe there's potential about clean sheet because
and Davis had a assist return the week before, so he's on two returns. So
yeah. So I think I don't know, but maybe Ipswich has more potential to get the winner against for this match and get the 3 points. But we shall see if let's say another clean sheet for Ipswich. I think people might jump in, especially on wildcard. All right, Southampton versus Ipswich. Next, Spurs versus Brentford. And we all know the attention about Postecoglou mentioning about Solanke could start this game. So what's the latest news for both teams?
Yeah, so Solanke should be fine and Bissouma should be fine as well. It's just that and there was a midweek Udogi started and was substituted at halftime, but it was planned. So no worries there. So the team that you see there should be the ones that start. It all comes down to Johnson right now because there's a lot of news about Johnson not, being subject to a lot of online abuse. Yeah, so you can see his heart was not there even though they finally won against Coventry. Yeah, 2-1 with a last minute goal, but he wasn't so happy. But I'm sure he will still keep his pace. And to give him that confidence and perform. So Spurs should be fine. So Brentford, of course, we know that Wisse is now out, but looks like Sade being talked up quite a bit by both Frank as well as members of the FPL community. So yes, he'll play a key role, but whether or not he'll do as well as Wisse, I don't know. So the jury's out there. So I'm hesitant to jump on a player like Sade until I see how he works with the likes of Mbeumo. But it does seem to make Mbeumo more appealing.
Yep. We know. I think the most significant one from this team news is Wisse, going out for a long time, and Thomas Frank did mention about his confidence or support for Sade to come in for me, and Sade is actually listed as a midfielder, right? 5.4 million right from Brentford. So if you want to pick, he cannot fill out that budget forward spot up front. So he might need to fight against other than cheaper enabler like Smith Rowe, Roger, and so on. So I'm not sure whether we want to go there. I think Mbeumo is the one if you want to go, and he's definitely a talisman for Brentford. He took the penalty also. So. But Spurs Brentford is going to be difficult as Brentford actually scored against Man City last week, but they narrowly lose to Man City 2-1. But it could be the same case for this week.
Yeah. The problem with this one is that the Spurs manager is getting a lot of big bets right now. Yeah. So after losing to Arsenal, in last weekend. The way they lost, he needs a result in this one.
All right. see whether Spurs going to win this game. Next, Palace versus Manchester United. I think we all know about Manchester United winning last week. Palace going 2-0 down and getting that 2-2 result against Leicester also can be good for them coming to this game week. So what's the latest news, Min?
So Watton and Hughes should continue to be the midfield engine with Cheick Doucouré out for several weeks. So Trevor Chalobah, who was injured previously, he's still not ready. So we'll find out whether or not he'll be fit to start next week. Manchester United, no real changes, although Højlund and Mount could be back, and but if they are back, it'll only be on the bench. So with how Manchester United lineup is always interesting. Despite Garnacho scoring, right now the predicted lineup is still Garnacho being on the bench, in favor of Ahmad, Bruno, and Rashford behind Zirkzee instead. So the thing with Manchester United, they are going to go on a run of fairly decent fixtures. So it's a case of Crystal Palace, Spurs, okay, Villa is a bit of a tough, then Brentford, West Ham, Chelsea. So these are all matches that you would expect them to win. So, but currently with all the hype surrounding Game Week 6 and Mbeumo, it's going to be hard for Manchester United players to get any favour just yet.
Yeah. For Palace, I think the usual suspect should start. Like say, Eze Nketiah already coming in last week. He had 6 goal attempts, if I'm right, from the first game, but it's a different team, Manchester United. And for United, I can see Ugarte starting in the predicted lineup, but I'm not sure on that. Maybe Casemiro could still start and Ugarte coming in later during the second half. All right, let's go next. I think we left with 2 team news. Brighton versus Forest. A lot of hype whether João Pedro, the most transferred in last week, who did not feature. So what's it going to be for this time around for Brighton and Forest?
So now the manager has says it's part of he will be part of the training, but we won't take any risks. So that is a bit of a problem. So I don't know if you are asking me, then after he blatantly lied or didn't say anything about Pedro not being available last week, I don't trust the manager at the moment. So for me, I doubt he will start. I'll be surprised if he starts. Yeah, okay. I think he'll be on the bench at the most. What worries me there in that predicted lineup is that Minte isn't there. If you notice. So I'm worried as a Minte owner. It is a concern for me. I'm not sure how it's gonna work. The problem is that because Minte played in midweek, so and he played, and not only did he start back to back, but he also played during the international. He played 2 matches, 90 minutes, both matches. So there is a worry that he may be benched. Yeah.
Right.
So on the Forest side, nicely fresh off the win against Liverpool. They should be okay. No real changes, I guess.
Yep.
Bowley might come back, but I don't think he's ready yet. So it could be a problem for Brighton. Forest are looking good.
Yep. If you one of João Pedro owner, I think you should manage your expectation. He might not even make it to the squad based on this statement, but I don't think we should take so much from what Brazilian mentioned about João Pedro. I don't think he starts. I think I share the same feeling like Azmin. If he actually make to the bench and play some minutes, I think that's the best case we can expect for João Pedro. So if you're thinking about whether to take him out and replace him, maybe you should do that. For Forest, they could implement the same how they play against Liverpool, and then come second half they bring in the likes of Elanga and Hassan Odoi come in for that pace and get those up. Right. I think the last game that we want to preview is Man City versus Arsenal. We already know about Odegaard doubtness. So now we want to know whether Arteta mentioning about what's the prospect for their team and also for Pep Guardiola.
All right, so now the case of KDB, whether or not he'll be ready. So I'm not sure he will. Uh, this is the challenge. So we got Foden ready to come on. Apparently, he's ready to play. So this will be, this will be interesting how City line up against this very very crucial match against Arsenal. We saw Arsenal really being able to, some good defensive performance 2 matches in a row against both Spurs and then Atalanta. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not Haaland can get through. But of course, with Foden around to replace KDB, I would simply expect a City attacking threat to still be there. And it's just that Haaland has looked a different animal. He seems to found an extra level up. So I wouldn't count against Haaland not scoring. It's just whether or not he score a lot.
Yeah.
On the Arsenal side, so because of what's happened with Odegaard still out, and it has shown in terms of the attacking. We saw that in midweek against Atlanta, they lacked that extra threat, and it's frustrating because Martinelli. Martinelli's so out of form at the moment, and he hasn't. Although he did well in the defensive work, but then his attacking side is still a lot to be desired. So it looks like Saka's a lot of burden is still going to be on Saka. I expect Trossard to also start.
Yep.
Jesus was horrible midweek, so that the problem is that where is Havertz going to play? So likely with Odegaard being out, Havertz will continue play in midfield. He'll be further back, so the likes of either Trossard or even Martinelli up ahead of him, which sucks for FPL players, especially those who have Havertz. And for myself, I even considered Havertz last week to bring him in or early, but now I'm holding off. I'm just not sure given the positioning that he plays. It's good for Arsenal, not so good for FPL points. So this is a tough one. So I'm really hesitant. I'm going to play both my players, of course. I have Gabriel and Haaland.
Okay.
But we do not, we'll see later. But I'm going for a score draw for this one.
All right. If you have both defenses, you definitely want to predict that. But with the form of Haaland, like you mentioned, it will not be surprised if Haaland scored in this game and continue his run. So it's definitely a decent shout. And from the Britain lineup, I think without KDB, it's still a strong enough team to face Arsenal. And Arsenal already facing without Odegaard in his team. And without Odegaard, I think there might be some disruption in terms of how Arsenal is going to play.
Just one thing. There is a question. So Guardiola, who was benched last week, will he return to the starting lineup? I think he will.
Yeah, I think he will.
And I think I think he can actually do a job for City this week. Yeah, so I think Guardiola will.
I think what happened last week against Brentford is more to give him a rest, and then he's going to play the Champions League and so on, the big match. But I'm interesting to know whether Rico Lewis is going to start this game. If he is, he could be someone that I know people already looking at it, but if in the big game Lewis starts, I think Pep has confidence on the young boy and to play in big matches anyway. So Lewis could be intrigued even at 4.7 million.
Yeah, I don't think he'll start. I actually think Kyle Walker will start, and that's why I feel that Guardiola is going to be the one to push up. Yeah, but of course Kyle Walker has his off-field issues lah, tak habis. so yeah, but anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts.
All right, before we look at the transfer traffic for this week, we already finished out the team needs. Let's just take a look. We discussed potential replacement. We talk about Isaac and although the budget forwards. Let's just quickly on Isaac replacement. We already saw that how he being mentioned about Isaac might start, might not start, and face late fitness. But if you're someone who has Isaac, he want to move on,
Yeah.
this could be the two potential transfer that people are looking at. First is Watkins. We already know that Watkins already delivered 2 goals last week. So he blanked for the first 2 game week, but then he returned an assist and now 2 goals. The latest game against Everton. So and he also some good run coming up. Wolves, Ipswich, Manchester United, Fulham, and Bournemouth in the next 5, which is intriguing about Watkins. Or if you cannot stretch to Watkins, maybe Solanke is the one 7.5 million Spurs. He might not return yet, but he could be a focal point for Spurs. And the fixtures is not bad. Brentford, United, Brighton, West Ham, Crystal Palace, maybe some mixed bag, but Solanke could be an option at 7.5 million. So what do you think? You're one of media who own Isaac.
So one of the biggest problems and what the reason why this whole Isaac replacement for Watkins was being talked about a lot. The problem is that Watkins is priced more expensive by quite a bit more. And as of this stream 30 minutes ago, Hafiz, Watkins is now at 9.0 million. So he's gone up. So for those of you who had just enough funds, hope you made it. Yeah, those who didn't. So because Watkins, after he performed last week, so he's definitely back. And Newcastle, the problem with Newcastle is that even if Isaac is fit, they haven't really shown the attacking prowess that they had from last season. So you can see why people will still jump even though they get news that Isaac is fit. And against Fulham away, even though Newcastle have a good track record against Fulham away, but given the current state of Newcastle, I can see why people will jump. So Watkins for me is still the better option, and if you can stretch for it, it's just the reason is simply that Solanke, Spurs haven't shown the how good they can be yet. Aside from that game where Son scored a brace, but Solanke is still being integrated into the team, so it's not. I don't see it just yet. Yeah, so my gut feel, my feel that Watkins took a while to get started as well. Let's be fair, but now that he's back, he's clearly the number one choice over Durant. So it's always Watkins for me. If you can stretch, go Watkins.
Yeah, another plus point because last week we are worried whether Durant will always come in to replace Watkins in the 70 minutes and so on. But Durant came in last week to play alongside Watkins, which can be a good news for Watkins in terms of minutes per se. And for Isaac, you mentioned offline, the next match will be Newcastle facing City. I think just nice if you want to think whether to jump off. Because if I said doubt for this week and next week against City, not ideal. For sure, if let's say people are wildcarding next week, he will be out from the thing, and Watkins should be the one that people looking at, even though at 9 million. I think another player that I miss to put in here, we can also talk into conversation. We mentioned about Mateta scored 2 goals last week. He could be on penalty, but maybe share with Eze. He scored 13 points last week. 7.5 million, not a bad shout, right, man?
It's not a bad shout at all. And the only reason that Mateta is not being talked about enough is because of Eze. And people who have Eze aren't going to double up, and people who don't have a Palace player will want to go for Eze. But he does well. It seems like the biggest problem is that Mateta seems to be the one who's taking the penalties. Although the manager has come out and said that Mateta and Eze is between the two of them, but it does devalue Eze a bit, especially with his price. You would expect him to be on taking penalties.
I agree. If you have the money, I agree with I will go for Watkins, and I expect a big points for this week. If not a brace, at least against Wolves, and you got at 13 points that I'm looking at. All right. Next about budget forward, because we already mentioned about Pedro might not Muniz on dilemma in terms of starting, and Visa going to be out for like 2 months period, and this some of the option people are talking about. We already mentioned about DCL Everton have some nice fixture coming up, and you can see there Leicester Palace. And for DCL, he for the past 2 games he scored game week 3 12 points. I think he got a 2 goal inside there, and game week 4 last week he's also continued to score against Villa. 5.9 million, 3.2%. He's really lowly owned. Next is Vardy, Leicester, 5.7 million, playing at home against Everton, who are rooted at the bottom of the league right now. They're currently considering a lot of big chances also. Maybe Vardy can be an option, even though Azmin might not like that option. He still favor DCL. In Kintia is a player that you own, man. Really low in terms of ownership, less than 1%, 5.9 million. But the entry point is against Manchester United this week might not be ideal. Or you could move sideways if you have Pedro to Welbeck playing against Forest. But the thing is, Forest, after last week's performance, I'm not sure whether you're still upwards in terms of Forest team, because they can be stubborn and be good on their day, right? So what's the option, mate, from these 4? What do you think?
Firstly, what do you mean Manchester United is not a good matchup? That's a very good matchup for Crystal Palace. Okay, so Welbeck is the guy who, although it seemed like he's forgotten by a lot of FPL managers, especially a lot of content creators out there, because all the focus seems to be on Pedro. But it's interesting that his ownership is 18.2%, which is quite a lot. Yeah, but I'll come back to what you said just now. Yeah, that because that Forest defense is looking a lot stronger, and then this is where you see the stats of last season towards the end of last season, and it's coming to fruition this season as well. And I guess I was wrong, because I thought Forest is going to be at the bottom because their defense, their attacking was terrible. But then the defense has proven themselves. So anyway, coming back to that, which means that I wouldn't go for Welbeck at this point in time. I feel that, as you say, Brighton, our fixtures are not that attractive. You got Forest at home, then Chelsea away, Spurs at home, Newcastle away. So these are not great matchups, really. So I would stay away from Welbeck for now. So it is between the 3 of them, and Nketiah is not going to be considered by many lah. Let's be fair. Yeah, but I like him because I feel that he's the poacher. He's playing for a decent team, and he's what Azmin could have someone to to put in all those chances which he previously wasn't able to. I think Mateta was a bit lucky with his goal, and as well as the penalty which he took off Eze. So I think Nketiah, who showed he played 90 minutes first game, he played 90 minutes, so it's fine. So it shows that the manager is going to put faith in him. If you were to ask between the three, I would have to say DCL is probably the safest choice. If you are not worried about his injuries, then DCL is probably the best option. The only issue with DCL is that Everton are scoring goals but end up losing. So that's the only. So we don't know. It will affect the mentality of these players. I don't know, but for now I don't think it's going to be a problem. So DCL is still the main man. It's the talisman for Everton for now, and he will be the one to rely on. I'm not confident with Vardy as well, because I don't know. Sure, he looks like he's fit, but he's playing for a worse team. I think the players around Vardy is not as great as the players around DCL. So given the choice, I would go for DCL.
All right, understand on that. I just make a quick comparison using comparison tool in Fantasy Football Scout members area. If you're interested to see that, you can join or subscribe to the members area. In terms of goal threat, this year has more penalty touches, 18 to 11 against Vardy. We are talking about comparison this year against Vardy. Shots attempts also this year has more, 6 attempts over 3 attempts for Vardy. But we talk about Vardy. We already know Vardy do not need a lot of chances. He just need one chance to score a goal, right? I think that's the pedigree for Vardy. But in terms of stat, looks likely this year has better attributes for Leicester against Vardy. The only thing they are playing away. But as long you score, you don't mind, right, man?
Yeah, as long as they score, no issues.
Okay, I think that's the traffic. Let's go to look at the transfer traffic. So then we have a bigger picture how managers are thinking right now and making a move. The most transfer in, I think you already mentioned about Watkins. He's now the most transferred in with 475,000 manager. I think I snapshot early in the morning, but it might be slightly already changed at FPL side right now. Second is Vardy, man. Okay, so Vardy is a popular choice. People are making move, thinking Leicester gonna win against Everton, 388,000 replacement for Pedro. I'm supposed we can see that on the right side. Luis Diaz, interestingly, getting in by managers, 346,000. Haaland continue to pick up new ownership, and then Smith Rowe. I think maybe looks like if let's say people are wildcarding, these are the suspect that is going to come in. For top transfer out, no surprise. Isaac with his price tag 8.4 million right now. Very mahal player, and you just need to ship this player and jump into other assets. 796. I think people are jumping in Isaac to Watkins and then João Pedro to Vardy. I think that's the pattern right now. Second most transfer out. Visa also in third place. Guardiola last week benching maybe trigger knee-jerk for this Man City defense at fourth, and then Saka to fund Salah. Maybe that's the move for this week. So what do you make about transfer bandwagon for Gameweek 5?
Okay, so Isaac's being the most transfers out this game week, but because the transfers only happened a lot in the last couple of days rather than at the start, so it seems like because it hasn't impacted right now, his price hasn't dropped.
Okay.
Recently, so as of this morning, Isaac's price didn't drop. But yeah, I mean Watkins, Vardy, DCL is not there. Interestingly enough, compared to Vardy. So you know, I just feel that we're being a bit over nostalgic with Vardy here. You know, I unless you're going for that 1 week punt with plans to wildcard in game week 6, then yeah, okay, then you go for it. Yeah. Smith Rowe, happy to see people come in for him. Although I'm likely going to bench him because of course I have him. I'm not confident against Newcastle. I am also Guardiola being sold. I don't know if that's the best option. Again, you know, is it just a 1 week thing? Because if it's not, then I still feel Guardiola is going to have a role to play. But I do get it if people want to reduce that uncertainty with Pep. Yeah, Pep already threatened in terms of making substitutions if he felt like it. So that's a problem. Especially after they drew in midweek, they couldn't score a goal for the first time. So that's a problem. We saw, of course, we expect that. Pedro, I guess a lot of people are giving up on both Isaac and Pedro. I don't like that Saka being transferred out bit though. I do get that it's being for Salah, but then Salah doesn't appear here as a top transfer. so because because just now, remember I predicted Arsenal will still score. So the person who is likely to score that goal or be involved will be Saka. It's just, you know, Saka is at the heart of everything good Arsenal do. You know, I don't have him, but all the attack will continue to flow through him unless you expect City to really nullify Saka by, you know, but which it's not Pep style to you know, put two men on him. But
since you already mentioned about Saka, you are right. He has written in every game so far. The first game, 1 goal, 1 assist, and then the next 3 and assist at least in each game. So he has been returning. No blank yet.
Yeah. So the other thing with Isaac being sold out is that today, the 21st of September, is his birthday. Oh. So there's a lot of theory about Isaac scoring. So those who transferred him out, obviously don't believe in that. So or don't think it will happen. So there you go.
Right? This is a transfer traffic for this week. If you're thinking which move you to make, maybe you can follow some of these moves. All right. Before we go to our teaming, quickly on captaincy. I know maybe it's not a conversation, but we've been talking about Haaland. But this particular week, Haaland will face the likes of Arsenal, and Salah is the captain choice for this week. At least from this 2,000 plus voter, think about 44%. Salah is the best captaincy for this week. Then second, Haaland. We already mentioned about Haaland. Still have potential to score even though facing Arsenal. Okay. And then Watkins is third because he plays at home against Wolves, and we already know his brace last week against Everton. So and took that 13 points. So who's the best captaincy this week, Min? I know you on Salah has been Salah for the past 2 weeks, if I'm right. Are you going to be for the third time this week?
Okay. If you look at that list there, I would say that the best captaincy for this week is Cole Palmer. So if you have him, I'd go for Cole Palmer. And the thing is that the fact that Bowen is there on the list as well, the perception is that West Ham Chelsea game is going to be a high scoring match, and it's as a London derby, one of those volatile London derbies, which I feel that is what is going to happen. So if you do have Palmer, I wouldn't be against going for Palmer as a captaincy, but I don't have him because long term wise, I don't feel is viable. So Palmer for me is the best option. So for most who have Salah, Haaland, and Watkins obviously after scoring a brace looked good. Is looking good, especially against Wolves. So that's another good option. I just feel that Salah against Bournemouth won't not going to be able to play like Forest played. And I think Liverpool will want a big bounce back. So for me, my captaincy will be on Salah. Haaland will still score, I think, but in terms of FPL points, I'd still put my money on Salah.
Yep, I think Salah is the best captaincy for this week. Just quickly on the projected goals and clean sheet odds gathered from Rob the FPL. Sorry, I do not have the graphic here, but the highest game that will predicted to have highest score is Liverpool against Bournemouth. 2.7 goals predicted for Liverpool, and then the next best thing is actually Spurs at 2.3. For Arsenal and Man City, they equally, it could be end up draw like 0-0 or 1-1 like you mentioned. So in terms of captaincy, I think Liverpool assets and Mo Salah is the standout. Next, maybe I'm not sure about Spurs assets, but Villa 2.1. So Watkins could be the one that you could be a shout out for that. All right, Salah is the best captaincy. We shall see whether he's going to perform because, like Azmin captain this week, gave it for only 2 points. We hope he continue his best form back in Gameweek 5. Okay, let's go to our team, man. My team first. I already used all my three transfer last week, and I already have one transfer for this week. And money in the bank 0.2 million. As you can see, my team I just read out. Henderson in goal, Robertson, Porro, and Gvardiol. Salah, Eze, Gordon, and Jota in midfield. And Muniz, Haller, and João Pedro up front. And you can see my bench is really iffy. Faiz, Wings, and Johnson. And João Pedro and Muniz is my main concern. Pedro might start, might not start. And Muniz, we already know, bench last week, and he could continue on bench and coming for 1 pointer. I think I'm going to make one move because I have two concern. And if let's say João Pedro did not start and Faiz or Wings can come in, I think Wings can come in with 2 points. I don't mind by that. I would just want to address that Muniz. So my thinking looks like DCL or Vardy is the thinking that people are looking at. I could go one of those players. I'm not sure whether going to rope or sideways for Welbeck interests me because Forest already performed. And maybe like it could be likely Vardy or DCL would be my pick to take out for Mooney Smith for this week. The rest should stay, and I will captain Salah.
Okay. So but in terms of fielding, you're going to field Muniz?
I think Muniz will be my transfer. Will take him out for DCL or Vardy.
Oh, okay. All right.
And João Pedro, I just hope he plays some minutes. If not, if he's missing,
Okay.
then Wings will come in for 2-pointer. I think that's what will happen.
Okay, so you're going to move Wings to the first sub, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's for first sub.
Then that's fine. Yeah. So you still have Guardiola, so all the best. I do believe he will start for that one. So yeah, the rest of our team is good to go.
Let's go to your team, Min. You have 2 free transfer, 0.8 million in the bank. You have Isaac in your team. What you thinking?
So I have sold Isaac.
Wow.
I sold Isaac last night and brought in Watkins. Okay. So my team is Henderson, TAA, Robinson, Pedro Porro, Gabriel. I am restoring him to the starting lineup. Then Salah, captain, Rogers, Haaland, Nketiah, and Watkins. So I'm going a 4-3-3. So I'm benching. For now, my bench is Minte and Smith Rowe. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but I'm probably putting Smith Rowe as a first sub because Minte's starting status, I'm not so sure. Yeah, unless I get some late news, which I can't because Brighton only play on Sunday. So I will probably put Smith Rowe as my first sub.
Oh, so you're playing Gabriel four in defense. Okay.
Yes,
And
4-3-3.
then you play Salah, Rogers, and then is it Murphy?
Sorry?
You're going to bench Minte and Smith Rowe, right?
Oh, no, I can't do that, right?
So I guess you're going to play Smith Rowe, right?
Yeah, I'll have to play Smith Rowe then. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, all right. Okay,
yeah.
and your first sub Minte, Jacob Murphy. Your second sub, if I can imagine that.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. I need to rethink this. I need to look at that Newcastle thing towards the deadline and see whether there's any Ura Murphy might start. So I don't know. We'll see.
I think you just want to point out my team slightly. I am gonna go for 1 week punt because my thinking is to wildcat in Gameweek 6. But for Azmin, he does not think that.
Yeah.
So I think you will make your transfer and then move forward. And you're thinking wildcat during the international break after Gameweek 8, if I'm right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Let's take some of the question. Ali Matt did mention about premium goalkeeper. Is it worth on wildcard for this game week? I'm not sure about Alisson because injury. So what do you think, Ming?
Yeah. I'm looking at the chat and apparently the plan is to wildcard in game week 6. So yeah, then Raya coming in for game week 6 is fine. Then it works out well because this game week 5 with Alisson also injured and Raya, and then you probably don't want to go Edison at the moment. But Edison have a good run of fixtures though after this. So yeah, in game week 6, you could look between Edison and Raya. Although I would go for Raya lah. I just feel he's a more
definitely Raya. Definitely Raya. Even though Edison, just to point out, he produced an assist last week, right? I mean, for Haaland.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether you're interested in that, but I don't trust City defense so much, even though they might be the best team. I think Arsenal is still there. And I think after next week, if let's say they kept a clean sheet against City this week, if let's say that happened, people looking at double defense, Raya and a defense, and you invest there because Arsenal are slotting, especially at the back. So we shall see next week how I'm going to do that. My thinking still not going a premium goalkeeper, but I might change coming next week.
The wild card,
Correct? Yeah. Last question, Yun Cheong Young. He has Southampton defend in the form of Bellis or play Guardiola facing the best team in terms of Arsenal. What would you do, mate?
I would play Guardiola. I just have no faith in Southampton at the moment. Yeah, I think they will lose to Ipswich and they are going to be on the cosh. Yeah, Guardiola for me.
All right. Thank you for the question. Before we go off, take a look at FPL Jedi League. If you want to join our league, the league code is PHMKJ3. And the number one team in our league mate is Rose Gold, a Manchester United fan, scored 72 points now and pretty comfort at 328 total points on top of our league. His teammate, or her team, I'm not sure, Raya in goal with 9 points. He has doubled up in terms of Arsenal defense. Saliba 5 points. You can see there. That's why he can gain so much point. And then who else in his team? Romero and Guardiola. He definitely has a back in big at the back. Bernardo Silva, Luis Diaz, Barnes, 8 points from Newcastle. And then Salah. He has Haaland as anyone else, 26 points. He has Visa, who scored against Man City. Well done, but he's now injured. I think that could be someone that he's going to think to replace. And Ings with 8 points, late winner against Fulham, if I'm right. Yeah. Min?
Was it equalizer?
Yeah,
late equalizer.
Late equalizer.
So yeah, that's crazy, man. Barnes and Ings, it's but of course it worked out well. I think the thing with Barnes is that he changes games, and even if he doesn't start, he can come in and do a job. Yeah. So the Ings one, I don't know about that one. Yeah, but West Ham have him as a back end, but that credit to you, and of course having that double Arsenal backup definitely is a big help as well. Yeah, that really helped to push you. And of course, you got the right captaincy on Haaland. So well done, Russell. Long may your reign prosper.
All right. Just give a shout out to other top 10 teams in our league. Beta teams at second place, 65 points he scored. Abang E, X5, 82 points. Helmi Johari down from second place last week to fourth now. I'm fourth, but still pretty decent at 310. Really, the gap is closing, like 10 points only separating those teams. Kirin at 5th place, Fakran Shakirin, Ulu Klang FC at 6, Riz CF at 7, Sugus Riang Ria, Abang Saja dekat 8th place, Invoker 9 and Pines United. Paddy Pine coming back into the top 10. No Afosz team, Aeroforce down to I'm not sure what place mean. So he suffers a bit definitely.
No worries, we all need to get that. There's another question, Hafiz.
Okay. Question, last one from Amir. João Pedro or Smith Rowe, which will start? Both players are at different position. Pedro up front and Smith Rowe. I think Smith Rowe has a better chance, right, mate?
Yeah, I guess you try to decide which player to bench. So Smith Rowe will definitely start. It's just I'm not confident on his returns. But
we're talking about stats, right? So
yeah, which will start. So Pedro, I just don't see him starting. Yeah. So I would say Smith Rowe is better chance of starting. Will's definitely.
I agree. Okay, last but not least, our last word. Gameweek 5 deadline will be at 6 p.m. Malaysian time this week. So don't miss out that deadline. So your last word, Min, before we go off.
All the best. Let's all bounce back from last week. Of course, there were those who had a great week because they got the right captaincy and they had the Arsenal backline like we saw. But for those of you who didn't, it was quite a rough game week. Don't worry about it. let's move on, and all the best for this one. And I'll see you on the other side.
Yep. All the best to everyone. Thank you for joining this stream. Do hit the like button and subscribe to our FPL Jedi YouTube channel and support us. And whenever we are live, you can receive the early notification. Until then, see you again. Good luck for this Gameweek 5 and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.